meeting. May I ask that all mobile phones are switched to silent? There is no planned test of the fire alarm system during this meeting, so if the alarm sounds, please exit the building quickly and safely via the main route. If this route is blocked, please use the fire exits in this room. Do not use the lifts. Once outside the building, please assemble in the market square. Do not re-enter the building until the committee clerk has given authorisation. Please note that this meeting is being visually recorded and may be webcast for the purposes of public transparency and accountability. The recording may be published online or used for other public reporting purposes. In accordance with the Openness of Local Government Body Regulations 2014, members of the press and public are also permitted to film or record the proceedings from the designated public seating areas. If any member of the public present does not wish to be filmed, recorded or photographed, please state so now, and we will make every reasonable effort to ensure that you are not included in the recording, which may involve you moving to a different part of the meeting room. Please be aware that any disruptive behaviour, including oral commentary during the meeting or the use of intrusive equipment, lighting, is not permitted and may result in your removal from the meeting. As this is an extraordinary meeting, there is no provision for members of the public to speak or ask questions at this meeting. If any member wishes to raise a point of order, can you please stand and clearly state order so we can distinguish them from a member who has raised their hand to indicate they wish to speak in the debate. You will need to state the relevant rule which you take issue with and set out your point clearly. The Chair may ask for the opinion of the monitoring officer before making a decision on how to proceed. Thank you for your cooperation. Agenda item number 1 is apologies. Are there any apologies?
Yes, we have apologies from Councillors Adams, Charlesworth, Entwistle, Griffin, Henderson, D. Merriweather and F. Merriweather, Shaw, Slater, Turner, White, Dixon and Potts.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2 is to receive declarations of interest by members and officers. Are there any declarations of interest by members? Are there any declarations of interest by officers?
Thank you. Agenda item number 3 is motions. This extraordinary meeting has been called in accordance with part 4.1 of the Council Constitution. Consider the motion. I call upon Councillor McFarland to propose the motion.
Thank you. I request that my speech be limited. I believe we are at a critical juncture in the future of our high streets. They are not just places of commerce, they are the beating hearts of our communities. They are places we meet, where we shop, where we work, and where we connect. They are the physical embodiment of local pride and identity. But today our high streets are under siege. Footfall is down, small businesses are struggling, vacancy rates are rising. Instead of supporting our town centres, this Labour-led cabinet has chosen to make things worse by hiking parking charges at precisely the moment we should be encouraging people to visit and spend. Let me be clear, increasing parking charges is a tax on local life. This is a deterrent to shoppers, a blow to traders, and a slap in the face to every hard-working resident who wants to support their local economy. It's short-sighted, it's regressive, and it's emblematic of a broader failure to understand the pressures our communities are facing. But this decision doesn't rest in a vacuum. It's part of a wider pattern, one that we see replicated nationally under this Labour government. At a time when families are grappling with the rising energy bills, soaring food prices and stagnant wages, Labour has chosen to increase taxes on working people. They call it fairness, I call it failure. And who better embodies that failure than Councillor Alan Rhodes? When Alan Rhodes was leader of Nottinghamshire County Council, he raised taxes again and again and again. Council tax went up, service charges went up, and what do we get in return? Cut to frontline services, closure of community assets, and a growing sense of disillusionment amongst the people he claims to represent. I believe Councillor Rhodes has never met a tax rise he didn't support. As any good socialist, he sees taxation not as a necessary evil, but as a virtue. But virtues don't pay the bills. Virtues don't keep shops open. Virtues don't put food on the table. No wonder they call him I Tax Out. And if that wasn't enough, the council has introduced an online-only discount for parking. A move that is not just unfair, but discriminatory. This change penalises the elderly, those with learning difficulties, and anyone who struggles with digital access. It's a digital discrimination, plain and simple. I raised these concerns directly at the Cabinet meeting. I warned that this policy would exclude some of the most vulnerable members of our community, but Labour voted it through anyway. Alan Rhodes dismissed those concerns, as if he knew better than Age UK, who have been campaigning actively and tirelessly against digital exclusion in public services. Let me be clear, I back the experts, I back Age UK, I back the people who understand the real world impact of these decisions, not I Tax Out, who seems more interested in defending bureaucracy than defending the public. And while the Labour Cabinet members were happy to vote for higher parking fees for residents, let's not forget, them themselves can receive discounted season tickets for parking. That's right, while ordinary people are being charged more to support their local high street, Cabinet members can enjoy subsidised rates. This is yet another example of two-tier taxation under Labour. One rule for them, another for everyone else. It's hypocrisy dressed up as policy and it's time it was called out. This council must do better. We must show leadership. We must act decisively. And that's why the Reform Group called this extraordinary meeting, to bring this issue to the forefront, to scrutinise the Cabinet's decision and to demand a reversal. We owe it to our shopkeepers, our market traders, our cafe owners and our residents. We owe it to the young entrepreneurs trying to build something in their own town. We owe it to the pensioners who rely on local services and don't want to pay a discriminatory digital tax just to park their car. Some will say this is political. Of course it is, but it's also personal. It's about the people we serve, it's about the communities we represent, and it's about whether we as council are willing to stand up and say enough is enough. We cannot allow our high streets to become ghost towns. We cannot allow local businesses to be strangled by bureaucracy and bad policy. And we cannot allow the Cabinet to make decisions that harm the very fabric of our towns without challenge. So I call you all, regardless of party, to support this motion. Let's hold this Cabinet to account. Let's reverse this decision to increase parking charges, and let's send a clear message. Our high streets matter. We will fight for them. Thank you.
We've got one final representative.
Could I bring a point of order, please? I believe that Councillor McFarlane just broke the code of conduct with his speech. Our code of conduct talks about acting on a statement.
Councillor Shulman, it's not a point of order.
That's a matter to be reported to the monitoring officer after the meeting.
Okay then, thank you. I'll report it after the meeting.
I call upon Councillor Warren Linda to second the motion.
I again request that. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I second Councillor McFarlane's proposal. I object to the proposed increase in parking charges across Bassetlaw's car parks. I don't out of principle alone, but a deep concern for the future vitality of our local towns, Retford, Worksop and the smaller communities that depend on them. time when we're working hard to rejuvenate our town centres, the idea of raising parking charges feels both ill-timed and counterproductive. Take Retford, for example. We've got exciting plans for the butter market, with a proposed new food market designed to bring in fresh energy, attract local traders and increase footfall. Yet how can we reasonably expect residents and visitors to support this initiative if we're simultaneously making it more expensive to park nearby? It risks undermining the very investment before it's had a chance to succeed. Turning to Worksop, we all know that many of our businesses are already struggling. Independent traders are fighting to keep their doors open amid rising costs, online competition and a cost of living squeeze. Increasing parking fines will not help them, it will drive customers away. People simply choose convenience and free parking elsewhere. Let's be honest, shoppers can go to large Asda's or Sainsbury's supermarkets in Worksop, park for free, get everything they need under one roof. Why would they have to pay to use the town centre for what they can access easily and cheaply elsewhere? By raising these charges, we're effectively penalising the very people we should be encouraging to shop local. Compare this to what's happening a few miles away. West Lindsey District Council has invested 10 million in Gainsborough Town Centre. And crucially, they've introduced 2 hours of free parking to promote shopping, eating out and visits to the new Savoy Cinema. They understand that to attract people back into town centres, you must make it easy and affordable for them to come. Let's think about our residents in the rural areas like Tuxford, Walkingham and Beckenham and across the wide Bassetlaw villages. For many of them, the journey to Gainsborough is little different from travelling to Retford or Worksop. If Gainsborough offers cheaper and even free parking, where do you think they're going to choose to shop? It won't be here, and the economic damage will ripple across our district. This proposal might look like a short-term financial fix for the council, but in reality, it risks being a long-term blow to our local economy. It's not sustainable to plug funding gaps by targeting motorists, the residents and visitors who keep our towns alive. These are not cash cows, they're the lifeblood of our communities. Chair, the council will be supporting local enterprise, if not taxing it through the back door. If we truly want to see Bassetlaw's town centre thrive, we must make them attractive, accessible and competitive, not drive people away to Gainsborough or further afield. And for these reasons, I urge colleagues to vote for this proposal and instead work together to find a fairer, more forward-thinking ways of supporting our budget and communities. Thank you.
Are there any comments or observations from members? Councillor Rose.
Chair, I'm surprised and disappointed that Councillor McFarlane's argument has descended into silly personal name calling. I'll repeat back something that he said. I'll repeat back something that he said earlier in this chamber, and that is that we should be better than that. Chair, I'm also surprised to see this rather vaguely worded motion tabled here this evening in a costly and time-consuming special meeting of the council. I'm surprised because, as the mover and seconder will be aware, our cabinet proposal will be presented for scrutiny at the cross-party overview scrutiny committee and will then be consulted upon for a statutory 6-week period. Councillor McFarlane and his colleagues can have their concerns heard at overview and scrutiny, and in fact, any member of the council or any member of the public who wishes to do so can engage in the 6-week statutory consultation process. We meet, therefore, in my opinion, for no other reason than to provide a platform for Councillor McFarlane to perform on. What disappoints me further is that he's not brought an emergency motion condemning the £73,000 on flags squandered by reform-controlled Nottinghamshire County Council and paid for by Bassetlaw ratepayers. Back to the parking proposals, which is what we're here to discuss. Our parking proposals, first reviewed since 2018, as I told him in my response to his question at Cabinet just a few weeks ago, are designed to increase footfall in Worksop and Retford. They're also designed to be fair consistent and affordable. Free 1 hour car parking will continue at Prydwell Road, at Prydwell Road and Kilton Road, and the recommendations are to increase 1 hour free parking and extend it to Queen Street, Worksop and West Street, Retford on a 12-month trial. And if successful, we'll look to make these temporary arrangements permanent and look to extend it to other car parks. I recall that Councillor McFarlane was involved in a campaign for free parking some time ago when he was the bag carrier for the former MP. While we're proposing the introduction of tariffs at Prospect Precinct and Langdale Country Park for the first time, we will incorporate a 1 hour free parking period at these sites to support short visits and accessibility. At Prydwell Road and Kilton Road car parks for stays up to 3 hours, the new cost will be £3, which is below the current tariff of £3.20. If we include the digital discount, the price falls to just £2.40, a 25% reduction on the current tariff. For stays above 3 hours, the new tariff will be £6 or £4.80 with the digital discount. With reference to the Priory Centre car park, stays of up to 5 hours will increase from £4.50 in the new all-day tariff of to the new all-day tariff of £6. Would you mind passing me some water, Julie? I'm a bit dry. I do apologise. No, I've got that somewhere. I'm grateful. I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm a bit dry. Please excuse me. So, yes, with reference to the Priory Centre car park, saving up 5 hours will increase to £4.50, the new all-day tariff of £6 with a digital discount. There's only a minimal increase of 30p to £4.80. Stays above 5 hours will continue to be charged at the current tariff of £10 or £8 with digital discount, a reduction of 20%. The council will work with local businesses at Prospect Precinct to ensure there's no detriment to them, for example by issuing parking permits to help those businesses where customers stay beyond 1 hour, and I'm thinking particularly of ladies' hairdressers, which I don't know a great deal about, and the Innings pub, which does have various functions, funerals, weddings, and so on and so forth. In March 2024, Councillor McFarlane, seconded by Councillor Styland, proposed an alternative budget. Part of these amendments incorporated charges to car parking tariffs, which would increase charges in visitor and shopper car parks. The proposals in our cabinet report show significant reductions compared to these proposals for up to 2 hours and up to 3 hours. These reductions increase significantly once a digital discount is applied. All-day parking will be lower than Councillor McFarlane's budget amendment proposal once digital discount is applied. In short, Mr. Chair, we've accepted the amendment to our budget from Councillor. Had we accepted the amendment to the budget from Councillor McFarlane, seconded by Councillor Stanton, people would have been paying more to park than they are now, and will be paying even more in under these proposals. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Sanders?
Sorry? No. Go on. Yes, please. Yeah, why not? Sorry, my hearing's as bad as my dry throat. So yes, please.
Thank you. I'm not as magnanimous as Councillor Rhodes, and I certainly will not be taking any lessons on taxation from Councillor McFarlane. I think his memory may be lapsing, but can you not remember a comment his former employee made in the House of Commons? If you can't feed them, don't breed them. So his newfound respect for people, or working class people, must be some kind of road to Damascus conversion. And who can forget 30p Lee? Certainly don't want to be going around for a dinner party at his house, do you? Chair, I must admit to being a little confused. That's probably not unusual for me. But when I read the motion brought by Councillor McFarlane, to say it was ambiguous at best was being kind. But I find it's a little bit like Nigel Farage and his residence in Clacton. Did he buy the house? Did his partner buy the house? Who knows? Mr. Farage doesn't. I'm a great believer in debate and that truth matters. And having been brought up and worked in a mining community, I can tell you that free speech was a way of life. Councillor McFarlane earlier tried to blindside this council with changes to the Constitution, and he talked about asking questions. Chair, I attended the Cabinet meeting on the 14th of October, and I can tell you that Councillor McFarlane took full advantage of the 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, which allowed questions to be asked, which Councillor Rhodes gave a detailed response to, which is detailed in the minutes. I'm not going to repeat some of the stuff that was in there because Councillor Rhodes has already done so. But he also had to correct inaccuracies on Facebook posts put out by Councillor McFarlane. Chair, if I may, I'd like to draw a comparison between the adversarial attitude taken by Councillor McFarlane and the collaborative working approach taken by Councillor Griffin. At the same Cabinet meeting, Councillor Griffin asked a question about issues around businesses and whether a dispensation or reduced fees could be included, a suggestion I believe that officers are looking at. That's how to get things done. The council we have a leader and cabinet model. The full council elects a leader, then appoints the cabinet. The cabinet members have responsibility for specific service areas, and the leader and the cabinet make most of the council's key decisions. But it is also clear that it is the role of overview and scrutiny to scrutinise, to monitor, question and evaluate the decisions and performance of the executive, ensuring that decisions are made transparently, effectively and in the public interest. The committee can endorse the decision, refer decisions back to Cabinet, to review, or in the rare case, refer the matter back to full council. If a member takes issue with the Cabinet decision, the correct way to challenge would be through overview and scrutiny. They can put their concerns to their representatives or write to the chair. Has been the case, and this has been the case with other key decisions. The Constitution is clear. So the question is, why did Councillor McFarlane choose to call an extraordinary council meeting? The Cabinet report is for this to go to public consultation. He talks about fairness, he talks about transparency, but he doesn't want the public to have a say in it. Hypocrisy at its highest order. He's already raised his concerns at the Cabinet meeting that I spoke about. He received a full and frank reply from Councillor Rhodes. His party can still debate this at overview and scrutiny. Colleagues, let me be clear. Councillor McFarlane does not have the interests of Bassetlaw residents at heart. He is a political chancer, a political opportunist. I believe he likes the short phrase. So here's one for him. Flip, flop, Fraser. He flips and flops between positions.
Councillor Sanders, 10 seconds.
Thank you. I shall be brief. He flips and flops between positions depending on what suits his interest at the time. I believe he also uses Bassetlaw as broken. The only thing that's broken is the record that Councillor McFarlane keeps using. And it's about time we stop talking down to Bassetlaw residents. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Richardson.
lighten this a little bit, and what I'd like to do, just to start, is just to actually thank Alan, because I did have some queries, I did email him, and to be fair to him, he came back to me within an hour on some of the queries that I did have, so I'd just like to say thank you. However, it doesn't necessarily change some of my views on parking. I do have quite strong views. As the District Councillor for Rampton and Deputy Leader of the Conservative Group, I'd like to start by having what this council itself called a car parking conversation. Because tonight's decision isn't just about tariffs and Ringo apps. It's about priorities at the heart of this council's High Street revival strategy. We hear constant talk about regeneration, revitalisation and levelling up. We've seen glossy press statements, upbeat headlines and big promises about bringing people back into our town centres. But then, with the same breath, we're proposing to increase car parking charges. These proposals may make it harder, not easier for people to visit our market towns, and they're a valuable asset to us. And let's remember, this doesn't just affect residents who live nearby. New charges hit hard for those residents who travel in from our rural areas, such as Rampton. Residents who rely on Worksop and Retford for shopping, healthcare and community life. Car parking charges are not a regeneration strategy. They simply represent a tax, in my view, on the rural economy. You cannot build an economy based on car parking charges, tariffs, charges and fines. We're told these new policies will fill empty shops. We're told they'll increase footfall and support small businesses. But how, if we're driving customers away before they even arrive? I've sat personally intently at council meetings. We're launching new property auctions. They're funding shop fit grants. We're investing in the butter market. That was the latest one. Our response should not be to increase car parking charges. That's counter to some of the strategies that this council is trying to deliver. This council is investing in footfall with one hand and taxing it with the other. In my view, having spent 10 years in economic development, that's not a strategy. Now let's talk about our own evidence, backing up proposed changes to parking policy. The Bassetlaw Car Park Conversation 2025 survey, which I went through last night, tells a very different story. Out of 709 responses, 594 were residents, only 61 were visitors and 54 were workers, meaning over 84% of responses came from people who already live here, not from those visitors, commuters and shoppers we're trying to attract as well. That's economic development strategy. In simple terms, excluding new business. And 35% of those respondents were aged over 65. Now that's a valued group, but it's a very narrow one. It does not necessarily represent the families, the workers and businesses across our districts. In my view, the survey was poorly constructed and this data is not fully representative of Bassetlaw in my view. Then there's the claim that 58% prefer Ringo or contactless. But if you actually read the chart, it says 42% prefer cash, 28% prefer contactless, only 26% prefer Ringo. That means 3/4 of the people do not want to pay by the app, yet we're incentivising those users. So here's the plan. Let's increase our car parking charges. Yet this council reads that as evidence for digital transformation. That's not reading the data. In some respects, that's rewriting the agenda. We all know the reality. Older residents can't always use apps, smartphones. Rural users don't always have a reliable signal. And no one wants to stand in the rain downloading the Ringo app. I've done it. That's not progress. That's exclusion. Then we're told that most people stay less than 2 hours. This suggests 1 hour free
10
parking.
seconds, please.
This suggests that 1 hour free parking is enough. Shop owners, visitors and people of Bassetlaw deserve better. The Conservative Party do not support increasing car parking charges. Given the economic climate facing residents, this decision should be reversed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor County Moore.
It's a bit rough for me here.
Thank you, Chair. You'll no need to time this. I'm glad this evening to hear that the Reform Party opposite has such zeal for our local traders. I'd like to take this group back 24 hours to last night's licensing committee meeting held in this very room, which discussed the new street trading policy. Before the meeting, the two most senior officers engaged for a good length of time with public outside to talk through the policy. During the meeting, against procedure, the Chair, Councillor Henderson, repeatedly allowed the public to participate in the meeting, and a good debate was had. The committee then voted unanimously to allow a further consultation with the public to take place. After the meeting, the Chair, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Bowker, myself and others continued to engage with the public present to explain the policy and to ensure that they would have their say. I've heard a lot tonight about openness and democracy, and this was an example of it actually taking place. The pity was that the Reform Council who was allowed to attend the meeting was not present. Yet again, democracy was failed by a party that preaches it. The old saying is that 24 hours is a long time in politics. It sure is tonight.
Councillor Horrocks.
Thank you. The proposal and the second speech is there. The arguments you put forward were for not having any charges, not for not raising charges. You argued that the price of parking was deterring people from the high street. That's an argument not to have any charge. So I think we should look at a few bits around that. One of them was, you said about driving to Gainsborough because it would be cheaper to park there. Just a bit of fag packet maths. It's a 12.3 mile round trip from Retford to Gainsborough. On average fuel consumption of about 15 to 20p, that's £5.80. That's more than we're proposing any of the charges. Worksop is a 20 mile round trip, so that would be £9.60. Again, more than we're proposing. If you want to have a nice eco-electric car, charged at home at about 35p a kilowatt hour, it'd be about 3 miles per kilowatt hour, so that's £1.40 for Retford and £2.30 for Worksop. Your numbers don't add up. It's still cheaper to park here. I think the hypocrisy here, again, you've asked asked for democracy and things like that, yet, thank you for your amendment earlier, giving us all a copy of the Constitution, showing that the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, it's page 14 of section 3, if anyone wants to look it up, is to support or object to proposals and decisions of the Cabinet. That is democratic. And to refer the matter back to the Cabinet with comment for recommendation, and that the Overview and Scrutiny Committee can then do their work, can be questioned. It'll then go to public consultation. The people will have their say. But you want to bypass all that. You want to remove democracy from this. You want to impose centralised power. That's autocracy. You want to bypass the democratic processes. You want to remove the transparency that's going to the public with this. You want to remove the public accountability for us to put this out for public consultation. Is this now Reform Party policy to remove democracy? What are you proposing here? That we scrap the democratic principles of this constitution that you've all nicely handed us? And I'd like to question whether this motion could come here as well. On section 5, the constitution you handed us again, it's page 10 and 11. It says, I'll flip to the wrong page, valid motions must not seek to alter or reverse any executive decisions unless this is contrary to the policy framework or contrary or not wholly consistent with the budget. This is an executive decision made by Cabinet going off to overview and scrutiny. I just don't get how you can claim to want to support democracy and then seek to undermine democratic constitutions, democratic processes and democratic actions of having this go to the public, having it go to a committee where its job is to overview and scrutinise. It's in the name. You can have your say, you can do what you want, yet you've called a meeting at taxpayers' expense. You've cost every taxpayer to tell them that you don't want them to pay more. There's just utter hypocrisy there. You keep costing taxpayers to do this. Every time you call an extraordinary meeting, everybody in this room, except yourself, obviously, has to dip into their pocket and pay through their county council tax, or through their council tax. It's costing everybody out there who's paying to park more money to hear how you don't want them to have to pay more to park. Let's go through the proper processes, do this the democratic way and not autocratic. Thank you.
Is it point of order?
No, Chair, I'm just asking that the question now be put, please.
Chair, are you satisfied there's been sufficient debate given? Need a seconder.
Need a seconder on this.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I'd like to request a recorded vote.
Can you prove the X? The record, please.
Given that this is a request for Cabinet to determine a matter that you've already determined, there is a risk that you could be seen to be predetermined in voting on this matter, so it is the advice of the monitoring officer that Cabinet don't participate in the vote. Call the names, just leave them blank and we'll record that it advised not to vote at the advice of the monitoring officer.
Okay, so the vote here is whether or not to accept the motion as put before the council. So, Councillor Bowker.
Against.
Councillor Brand.
Against.
Councillor Carrington Wild.
Against.
Councillor Carroll.
Against.
Councillor Challoner.
Against.
Councillor Digby.
Against.
Councillor Dinsdale.
For.
Councillor Ducey.
Against.
Councillor Eaton.
Against.
Councillor Evans. Councillor Fielding.
Against.
Councillor Freeman.
Against.
Councillor Horrocks.
Against.
Councillor Lee.
Against.
Advise not to vote.
Sorry, yes. Advise not to vote by the monitoring officer.
Councillor Limber.
For.
Councillor Manners.
For.
Councillor McCallum.
For.
Councillor McFarland.
For.
Councillor Naylor. Councillor Oxby. Councillor Pashley. Councillor Pidwell. Councillor Presley,
Against.
Councillor Polk, and Councillor Rhodes. Councillor M. Richardson.
Against.
Councillor S. Richardson. For. Councillor L. Sanders.
Against.
Councillor N. Sanders.
Against.
Councillor Stewart. Councillor Scuffon. Councillor Shepherd.
Against.
Councillor Staniland.
For.
Councillor Tindall.
Against.
Councillor Troop.
Against.
I've not missed anybody, have I? No.
Eight for, 21 against. Motion not carried.
Chair, can I just clarify that the matter will not be implemented, because at the last meeting of overview and scrutiny pending this full council, the decision was deferred, so it will be considered scrutinised by the committee on the 9th of December.
Agenda item number 4 is any other business which the chair considers to be important or urgent. There is no other business. I wish you all a good night. Thank you.